The Lord is our shepherd, I shall not want. Him maketh I lie down in a green pastures. Him leadeth I beside still water. Them him restoreth I soul. Him leadeth I in the path of righteousness for him name's sake. Yea! Though I rasta, I go walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I can't fear no evil. For thy rod and thy staff them comforted I and I. Who prepare a table before I in the presence of our enemy. Them who anointed I head with no oil. Me cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy. I go follow I all the days of I venny. Me I go dwell in the house of the Lord God Jah, Kadamawe Grumabeate la Exag Beer Tanaistalin Abba Shante 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 Kadamawe Grumabeate la where 2 centuries meet in the name of the Most High Jah, and that's so Jah there. If Jah never build up your house, the builder I go build it in vain. Same way, if Jah never watch upon your house, the watchman I go watch it in vain. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous run into it and them is safe. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Jah shall deliver him from all of them. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High Jah shall therein abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I give thanks, I give thanks, I give thanks. How Mausobolisa, Adanu Wato, and what a sick for. How Mausobolisa, Akpe, Kaka. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushodamo, where we speak truth to power. In my name, Black Rasta. In every traditional African home, there is a black pot. And every time this black pot sits on the fire, there is something extra sumptuous cooking. And that is food. Now, the ingredients that get into the black pot to produce food are of so many different colors, shapes, and sizes, aromas, and flavors, yet they put aside all these differences. Meat in the black pot to produce this wonderful, nutritious food. Same way. The black pot is so significant as a people in the African family. In fact, it's a symbolical of the African continent, and the ingredients represent us. So every time we find ourselves right there in the continent of Africa, we must make sure that we produce food, and this food is development for our people, our continent, our land. We must be that Joshua generation, tree planting generation, selfless generation, a generation that is ready to work for the next generation to enjoy. Many are those who will never plant trees, all because they believe that these trees, they will not live long enough to enjoy the shades of the trees. So what do? They rather plant onions, pepper, corn, which they can harvest in a short while, eat, sleep, die, be buried, and be forgotten. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushunamo, where we speak truth to power. And here, we do not criticize, but if we must criticize, we would only just criticize for one condition: to build and not to destroy. We don't do politics. What we do here is patriotism. In fact, our aim is to rewire the mindset of our people. It's all about the attitudes of our people. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushunamo, and here we speak truth to power. Remember, we are live on Pan-African TV, also live on Loud Silence TV, live on our own TV, Black Empire TV. We are super live on a channel close to you soon. We are on YouTube, and our name is Black Empire Media. Please subscribe to the channel and hit on the notification button so you don't miss anything that we have to offer you from Monday to Friday. Our numbers are also scrolling on your screens. Do business with us. Your business will prosper. We are seen all over the continent of Africa and beyond. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonamo. And here we speak truth to power. Now, the very first story I'm going to look at today, and today we're going to deal heavily with Nigeria. It says EU wants Nigerian polls rerun. EU wants Nigerian polls rerun. The EU is what? The European Union. Now, the European Union sent independent observers to Nigeria. And when they arrived in Nigeria, like they do to other African countries, I am not sure Africans also send independent observers to America when America is having elections. I think recently they tried to do something like that. But all these years, it's always Europeans, Americans coming to observe African elections. In fact, and their view of the elections matter a lot. In most of the cases, they deem the elections to be null and void. In other words, very, very, very much disturbed in terms of democracy. And it hinged on the free and fair phenomenon. Now the EU says that democracy has been so much looked down on in Nigeria in these elections. Number two, a lot of people were disenfranchised. In other words, they were not allowed to vote, or better still, they were intimidated. And finally, the EU thinks that there was no fairness in this election, let alone the freeness of the election. Watch what the EU said. Nigeria decides 2023. INEC disappointed Nigerians. And this is from EU observers, and this is from the what? The Times. The Times. Come here, let's look at it together. Listen. It says what? Watch it properly. It says, the European Union Election Observer Mission, EU, EOM, on Monday raised questions about the transparency of the elections in Nigeria. In its preliminary report, EU EOM Chief Observer Barry Andrews said although INEC held the elections on schedule, the process was characterized by a lack of transparency. Overall, stakeholders had expressed confidence in INEC's independence, professionalism, and voter information efforts. But this decreased ahead of the elections. INEC lacked efficient planning and transparency during critical stages of the electoral process. While on election day, trust in INEC was seen to further reduce due to delayed polling processes and information gaps related to much anticipated access to results on its results viewing portal, he said. Mr. Andrews said that their findings showed election day was marked by late deployment and opening, while polling procedures were not always followed. Additionally, polling staff in the polling units, they observed, struggled to complete result forms, which were later not posted online. He said despite introducing the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, and the INEC results viewing portal, to ensure the credibility of the polls, uploading the results using the BVAS did not work as expected, raising concerns. Millions of Nigerian voters cast their votes in the presidential, Senate, and House of Representatives elections despite prevailing challenges. I commend the patience of voters as well as the commitment of the youth who have contributed hugely to the democratic process, Mr. Andrews said. He encouraged stakeholders to remain peaceful as the collation of results continues. The tabulation exercise is still ongoing, and we will follow the process until the end. Dash it away. So this was released last Monday. Now the collation is ended. A winner has been announced. What is the EU Observer Mission saying? Look at the letter they wrote. Look at it. Can you see it? Can you see it? And when you read this letter, I'm going to spare you the headache of reading it. In fact, it recommended some very important things. Number one, the presidential election should be annulled. Bola Tinubu Ahmed should not be called president because there was massive rigging, massive intimidation, and so on and so forth. Two, democracy was totally thrown to the dogs in Nigeria. What is the electoral law? Is it still winning one very important state in Nigeria and winning 25%? That one big state. What is the name of that big state? Is that big state still important? Somebody won that state, yet he lost the elections. Democratically, what are the laws in Nigeria? What are they dealing with? Now the youth are on the streets in several parts of Nigeria demonstrating. They are not happy with what is happening in Nigeria. Remember, the EU Observer Mission has said that the youth has been so patient. Nigeria is tired of demonstrations. The last demonstration we saw of Nigeria, soldiers and police were asked to shoot and kill them like wild animals. And when the whole world came to talk against it, the president Muhammadu Buhari came out and told everybody that you are not in Nigeria, you don't really know what is happening. This angered a lot of Nigerians. Today, my brother, my sister, they have had their elections. Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa. If Nigeria fails, the whole of Africa would fail. It's like a chain reaction. When one hook is off, the rest will be triggered to go off as well. The EU Observer Mission is not cast in concrete. They can go wrong. But even citizens in Nigeria are talking against this election. Many people have said, oh, there's no election that is perfect. But of course, you will look at the magnitude of the imperfection. If the magnitude is huge, then you will know that these elections cannot be credible. What kind of election is this? People are slapped left, right, and center. What kind of election is this? That in the open air space, people are paid money to go and vote and make sure that they show that they voted for this candidate. And they are giving money and giving drinks. What kind of election is this that has macho men coming out to take ballot boxes? Politicians coming to take ballot boxes and running with the ballot boxes. What is wrong with us? Many have said that Nigeria cannot afford a rerun. It will cost Nigeria $1 billion American dollars to organize another rerun. Come. As it stands right now, Nigeria is in a quagmire. This beautiful country called Nigeria is in trouble. Now they are saying that Tinubu is the winner. The other candidates, are they quiet? Are they going to court? What are the youth in Nigeria saying? What are the politicians in Nigeria saying? Olusegun Obasanjo has made it clear that this election should be annulled. Under what circumstances can you annul elections in Nigeria? Buhari has come out to say, if you are not satisfied with the election results, please, Oya, go to court. What are we doing? Are we going to court? Are we going to sit back and say, well, let it be? Today, we are on Nigeria. We are going to look at all these questions and answer them one after the other. In the interim, the EOM, the EU mission, observer mission, they came all the way from the European Union on a mission, an observer mission. They have made it clear right from the day of the elections. There were so many different issues coming up. And at the end of the day, this is what is happening. This is the Black Pot, aka Kokoshonomo, where we speak truth to power.
Skip a charge.
Blakk Pot, Kokoshow.